Hello, and thank you for taking the time to view this video. My name is Guy O'Quinn. I'm an American immigrant into Germany. I've been living here for 5 years. I've been living in the city of Nuremberg for 2.5. And today, I'm going to talk about racism in Germany. This video was inspired by Katerina Kremkova of Frankfurt, Germany, of Saba Basharat of London, England, and by Martina Rodriguez and her boyfriend Julius Irwin from Las Vegas, Nevada, United States. Firstly, I would like to thank everyone who came out with me to the silent protest that we had yesterday. There were silent protests against racism and police brutality in 19 different German cities. The people who attended these protests are now officially a part of history. Since the murder of George Floyd on May 25th, 2020, there have been protests against racism and police brutality in all 50 American states and 18 countries worldwide, making this the largest civil rights movement in history. But we have much work to do. Also here in Germany, there are Germans who would say that there is no racism in Germany. Indeed, they say es gibt keinen Rassimus in Deutschland. There is no racism in Germany. And you look at the words used there. Keinen Rassimus. Not nicht so viel, not so much, not nicht so schlimm or so schlecht. So not as bad as compared to some other part of the world. No, the word there used is keinen, as if racism does not exist in this country at all. And that's geht nicht. Now, if you were to ask any black person in Germany, myself included, they will be able to tell you where, when, how, and from whom they experienced racism. And I want to talk about two particular instances that stood out for me when I experienced it myself. I'm going to take you back to late March last year. My girlfriend at the time tells me that, Guy, every time that you say that you are proud to be black, you are being arrogant. And you should be trying to be more German because you live here. Now, at first you might think, well, Guy, that doesn't sound so bad. I'm sure she meant well, and there are certainly worse things she could have said, and you would be correct. There are worse things she could have said. However, it is important to remember that regarding racism, it comes in many different forms. And there are, of course, the obvious direct forms, calling someone a racial slur, telling them to go back to what is perceived to be their country. But there are more subtle, benign, innocent, if you will, forms of racism. Now, just because it's not so bad as calling someone an N-word to their face, that does not take away from the fact that this is, in fact, still racism. So my girlfriend tells me, Guy, you need to be more German. Now, not just speak more German. That would have made sense. You need to think, act, be more German. Because you live here now. And it is often that black people are made to feel as if they cannot be their true selves. You're too loud, you're too expressive, too opinionated, too much energy. In German, they say that you are being too dominant, too aggressiv, even asocial. And this makes white people either feel uncomfortable around you or awkward or outright intimidated. They are scared of you because you're being, too black. And the answer to this is to be quieter, to take up less space, to be less out there. Take this as being more white. And I asked my girlfriend, I said, so you think that I need to be more German? She says, yes, because then the Germans here will see you as German and not black. I said, so you think that I need to be whiter? She says, yes. Right there, that is racism. You do not make a black person feel as if their race, their ethnicity, the color of their skin, anything about their race, as if it is a problem, as if it is something that they need to actually work to change or to be something that they just cannot be. I could live in Germany for the next 50 years and I will always not just be American, but a Black American. And I'll always be proud of that as well. Needless to say, I was upset by what my girlfriend at the time said. And bless her heart, I got even more upset when she didn't understand why what she had said was so wrong. But remember, there is no racism in Germany. Second example, take you back to last year again with my coworker at the time when I was working at a gym here in the city center. My coworker had known me for 2 weeks, and we were at a team meeting, she, myself, and the rest of our staff. And she calls me the Farbige, the colored. Mind you, not colored, the colored. In the same vein as when there were whites and coloreds only during the period of American history from the 1870s until 1964, when everything was segregated between whites only and coloreds only, where there was colored only schools, drinking fountains, bathrooms, facilities, entrances into the same building, restaurants, and so on and so forth. A few weeks after this, she explains that she did not know what else to call me except the N-word, and she knew that that was bad. And so right there, she just knew I could either call him the colored or the N-word. Not his name, not the bald guy, the muscular guy, the American. No, she went straight to my race. Weeks after this, she invites me out to a nightclub. And as we're walking back from this nightclub, on our way to the train station so that she can catch the bus home, she says during this 10 to 15 minute walk from the club to the train station, about 10 to 15 times, that she is worried about being seen with a grosses Schwarzes or grosses Farbige man, a big black or a big colored man. And the next day she explains that she, a German woman, Nuremberger, born and raised, was worried about being seen with a black man because she was worried that German men would see her and me, assume we are together, and therefore she is dirty, tainted, impure. And once again, I was reminded of the 1960s when interracial marriage was then what gay marriage was up until 3 years ago, 2017, October 2017. Also, quick shout out, thank you so much to the LGBTQA plus community. I saw a lot of rainbow signs and flags out there yesterday. Thank you so much for standing with us at this time. Really great to have you. Thank you again. But it was not too long ago when it was illegal, unconstitutional, against God and everything we stood for a same-sex couple to get married the way in the 1960s it was an interracial couple. Interracial marriage has only been legal in the United States for 53 years, since 1967. And the women during this time who dated black men, had relationships with black men, kissed black men, or even were too friendly to a black man were seen as N-word lovers. And I trust we all understand I don't mean N-word there. And this sentiment carries on to this day, just in a more benign form, a lighter, softer form. My colleague would not be the first German woman that I have met that has had negative feelings or a negative opinion about being seen with a person of color. Now, it's not that they view themselves as what I just said, but they don't want to deal with the awkward questions or the comments or the looks and stares from their friends and family and coworkers. And it would just be easier to bring home a German man and then everyone's happy. Give an example. It could be as if a girl from Schwabach brings home a boyfriend from Kenya. And their parents tell her, it's not that we have a problem with your boyfriend. We're sure he's a nice man. It's just, well, you're from Schwabach, so you are German. And he is from Kenya, African, and we don't know how to feel about that. But remember, there is no racism in Germany. And of course, on top of what you would expect when I say that I've experienced racism, being called the N-word, being called a monkey, being told to go back to Africa. Unfortunately, the usual things, you could say. And when I tell the Germans about this, they say, well, Guy, your problem is you need to get out of Nuremberg. See, your problem is not Germany. Your problem is Bayern. This is not a German problem. This is a Bavarian problem. So what you need to do is you need to move up north. You need to move to Hamburg. You need to move to Berlin. You need to move to Cologne. And there you would have a much better experience. These cities are more international. They are more welcoming, more accepting. And there you will not have any of the racism that you have experienced in Nuremberg. And that may be the case. I'm sure that these are lovely, wonderful cities to live in. I have only personally been to Cologne. I have not been to Hamburg or Berlin. And I'm sure that these are wonderful places to live. But I did not ask, where must the black man move to escape racism? But I will ask now, why must the black man move to escape racism? And also, I thought there was no racism in this country. So why must the black man change his geographical location in this country to escape something that allegedly does not exist? That's just it. A lot of Germans think of this as their problem. George Floyd was murdered in the US. This makes this a US problem. Racism is a US problem. President Trump is president of the United States. So again, this is a United States problem. The United States is over there and we are here. Therefore, this is not our problem. And even when you talk about racism here in Nuremberg, well, again, this is a Bavarian problem, not a German problem. There is no, this is a their problem or a here problem. This is an American problem. This is a Bavarian problem. This is a Nuremberg problem. This is a German problem. It is a problem. It is a problem. And the only way we're going to address this problem is to admit just that there is a problem. Racism exists in this country. Pumped. Germany can no longer pretend that there is no racism here. This needs to be the end of its Gibt, Keinen, Rassimus in Deutschland. Especially when one of its political parties gains popularity and notoriety in 2016 as a direct result of Chancellor Merkel's immigration policies. This party is known as the Alternative for Deutschland, the AfD. And they gained this popularity despite being openly compared to the National Socialist Party of the 1930s, better known as the Nazi Party. Now, I will quickly say, I am not here to discuss whether or not AfD voters and supporters are or are not Nazis. That is not what we're here to talk about today. However, that comparison is often made. There it is. That is all I will say. I will also say, however, racism in Germany did not end in 2014 when Chancellor Merkel and her government opened the doors to over 200,000 refugees, asylum seekers. Nor did it end in 2015 or 16 with the several hundred thousands that followed. And it did not end on the 8th of May, 9th of May in Russia, 1945, when Gross Admiral Dönitz surrendered what was left of the Third Reich to the Allies, thereby ending the European theater of the Second World War. At no point did racism end in Germany, no more than racism did not end at any point of Barack Obama's presidency. And though this is during the Black Lives Matter movement, this is not just about Black lives. not in Germany, or at least not about Black American lives. You cannot tell me, a person cannot say that they are not racist or against racism as long as we are talking about Black Americans, but not Black Africans. You cannot tell me that you love Black people as long as they're from the US. Because where is the line? As long as they're Black and American, Black and a soldier, Black and have access to a US military base. You cannot say that I'm sitting here and I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm one of the good ones. But if I was sitting next to somebody from Nigeria, he would be one of the bad ones. Let's get garnished. It's even in our name. Americans are referred to as, or Black Americans are referred to as African Americans. We are all African or of African descent. So you cannot say that you love Black Americans, but you hate Black Africans. You also cannot sit here and say that you are not racist or against racism because you love Black people. But if given a choice, you would send back every single refugee that you could if given a choice. You cannot say that you would send back African, Mediterranean, Arab, Middle Eastern refugees, that you would get rid of all the Turks or all the Syrians or anybody from any one or any other country, and then say that you're that you are not racist. You also cannot say that you love Black people, but as long as they are, again, there, as long as they are in their country, on their continent, so that this can stay Germany, and this can stay German, European, and white. You cannot say that I enjoy other cultures and I love other cultures as long as I can come back to my culture. For example, you cannot be on your way to your holiday in Greece. You stop at the doneria, get a Turkish kebab, and on the way you are listening to American hip hop and planning your next holiday to Tanzania. And you enjoy all these other cultures, except your own, so that this can stay Germany and this can stay comfortable and safe for you. You cannot do this and say you're not racist. Once again, though we are saying this during the Black Lives Matter movement, for Germany especially, you cannot say that you love Black people, but if given the choice, you would only keep the Blacks and send everyone else back because, again, where's the line? I am Black American. This does not make me one of the good ones because I am or was a soldier or anything of the sort. So you ask me now, guy, what can we do? I mean, you said all these things, you've said all these negative points. What can we do better? Well, as I said before, right off the bat, the time of this Gibt, Keinen, Rassimus in Deutschland is over. This is the time to stand. This is not a time to exercise your privilege as a German. This is not the time to say, well, I'm German and I live in Germany, so this does not apply to me and I can go about my life and not worry about it. Not a time to exercise your privilege that you do not have to deal with this issue as people of color do, as Black people do, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This is a time to stand with us. This is a time to not just be not racist, but anti-racist. Now, I call upon the German people to look to their people of color that live among them, to look to the Blacks, the African Americans, the Africans, the Turks, the Greeks, the Arabs, and so on, and make them feel every bit as welcome and loved and accepted as if they were Germans themselves. As we say that we are all flesh and blood. We are all one people. We are all humans, all humanity. I would call upon the German people to look to these people of color and make sure that they are loved just the same, because we are all, at the end of the day, human. We all bleed the same red. We are all the same species, however you want to put it. We are all one people, regardless of color, regardless of background, regardless of immigration status, be them citizen or immigrant like myself, or political asylum, refugee. We are all people. Once again, this is not a Nuremberger problem. This is not a Bavarian problem. This is not a German problem. This is not an American problem. This is not a Trump problem. This is not an AFD problem. This is a problem. All over the world, it simply is a problem. And the only way to address this problem, to even begin to address this problem, is to admit this problem exists. Now I call upon the German people to be as anti-racist with the exact same energy that they're anti-Nazi, and all that the Nazis have and ever will stand for. I'm going to end with this today. Black Lives Matter, that stands behind me right now, and has been trending all over social media for 3 weeks now. Lord knows Black Lives Matter. My life matters. Regardless of who is afraid to be seen with me, or who thinks I should be whiter, or who thinks that I should be sent back to some continent I've never lived in before, or who thinks I should simply die. My life will always matter, and no one will ever take that from me. Black Lives Matter. And not one among us can say that all lives matter until Black people know for a fact that that includes theirs, until they're made to feel and to know on a shadow of a doubt that their lives also matter. We cannot say all lives matter. Until then, we will say Black Lives Matter. Thank you so much for watching.